Peace up with this family. This new wave right here is going to be about solar science part 2, the awakening. Now, I'm sure many of you are familiar with the term of the awakening. Everyone is saying there's an awakening going on. You know, I myself, let's say there's an awakening going on outside because it should be so obvious. Those who are in tune with nature and pay attention to things, not DBS and HDS, right? Turn off this television, man, and all the depressing news and be actually in tune with nature. All right, if you are receptive to energies and vibrations and the earth's current, okay, because there are spiritual people that are actually in tune to those things, and I hope you're one of them. If you are in tune to things, you will notice and feel that there is something different going on in the earth. It might even appear to be something negative, because some people do not know how to digest this overdose of knowledge and information and awakening consciousness that they are receiving, right? So this awakening consciousness, it appears that some people are pretty much getting unselfish. You know, you will see that people only sometimes checking for themselves, like they only check studying for themselves, probably they all about their money, but it all has to do with self, which is nothing bad per se, because one has to know self, as the ancestor said, man know thyself. But where is all of this vibration and this energy is coming from, which is affecting us here on earth as humanity? It stems from three things. So we're going to look at why this is happening. It all has to do with Atomra, because remember, this is solar science part 2. Atomra, being the sun, goes through a cycle every 11 years that scientists refer to as the 11-year sunspot cycle. During such a cycle, there are two stages that the sun goes through. They refer to it as the solar minimum and the solar maximum. As you can imagine, in solar minimum, there is minimal activity on the surface of the sun. On the surface of the sun, the activity which I'm speaking about, they refer to it as sunspots, which is when you get a burst of energy on the surface of the sun, which spreads out and radiates in the universe, and most times in the direction towards Earth. When these bursts are very extreme, they refer to them as CMEs, or coronal mass ejections. Okay? Now, the sun, this cycle that I'm speaking about, it goes through two stages, the solar minimum and solar maximum. So solar minimum, there isn't much activity on the surface of the sun. Solar maximum, there is way much more activity. Now, they began to count this, or they discovered this in 1755. From 1755 to right now, they have counted about 24 cycles, which ended in 2018. Scientists say the transition from cycle 24 to cycle 25, which we are now in 2019, the activity on the surface of the sun was extraordinary. All right. So while it was probably the solar minimum, okay, the transition actually shows that there was a lot of activity on the surface of the sun, meaning that there were more solar flares going out coming towards the earth, okay, and also spreading out and radiating within the universe. Remember, in part 1 we touched upon the electromagnetic spectrum. So these solar flares, and it says that every outburst, it takes 8 minutes for light to actually reach the earth from the sun. So every outburst of this electromagnetic spectrum, remember, one of the forms of radiation that this spectrum carries is radio waves, which is a type of radiation which carries sound messages. So the sun is actually communicating more with us within that transition. That is one of the reasons why this is happening. So that is the first reason this is going on. The second reason is the sun is actually transitioning from one age or one constellation to another. Those who have been paying attention, all right, and pretty much been doing the research, would know that our sun is in a cycle called the Great Year, in binary with another star called the star Sirius, which it goes through every 26,000 years. It passes through all the constellations very slowly. So every 2,160 years, it spends that time within a constellation. In December 2012, upon the winter solstice, when everyone thought the world was going to end, it was actually the beginning of the transition of us leaving the Piscean age and going into the Aquarian age. After the cusp, we're going to transition into the age of Aquarius. So for the past 2,160 years, we was in the age of Pisces. Now, just as the sun, which is a star, has an effect on humanity, right? And its consciousness within us here on earth is the life giver, okay? The constellations, which also are stars, also have an effect on us here on earth. As a result, the age of Pisces deals with belief, it deals with sacrifice, and it deals with religion, okay? It also deals with faith. So as a result, we are leaving this age of religion and we are entering into the age of Aquarius, which deals with innovation, it deals with knowledge, consciousness, and it deals with science. In the ancient book of Jehutimus, it says that man and woman is to be godlike through a life of virtue, okay? And cultivation of the spirit through scientific knowledge, practice, and daily routine. So this science thing we're talking about, and this age which is bringing this awareness to us, this is nothing new. Our ancestors knew this and knew this age was coming. So we now have to take the opportunity, all right, to embrace these energies and use it to help us, to assist us in elevating into our higher self. So as a result of this transition, this also is another vibration that we are receiving here on earth, which is affecting and having an effect really on this new age, this age of awakening. The third factor would be that the star, which our sun is in binary with, which is the star Sirius, which is where we get the great year, the 26,000 years. These two stars are approaching each other and coming closer, right? Now, all this means more light to you, the human organism. In our video, the Undecoded, we actually touched upon DNA. DNA is a chemical within the human anatomy which carries information. It is consists of nucleic acids, which is held together by helix bonds, right? Don't go too much into the science, but what I want you to know is that these helix bonds really are comprised of light encoded filaments. And these light encoded filaments is what carries the information, okay? So the light, us being melanated individuals, because melanin is actually condensed sunlight, because when you move through the color spectrum of the lights being red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, the top would have to be black because melanin is condensed sunlight, which is why the sun is beneficial to melanated individuals. This is Melanated Empire, family, right? So these three factors are the reason we are experiencing all of this. Okay, now these cycles of light, this new wave of transition, all right, has an effect on the anatomy. It actually causes tiredness, it causes disruption, and even confusion. It also even causes depression, because for some reason we can't seem to adjust our consciousness and our thinking and ourselves to this new wave and this new information that we are receiving. So some people will experience depression, some people will experience vexation. All right, but this is the attributes of all of this. So spiritual awakening, the spiritual awakening now is the ability to clearly see that what you are experiencing, which is what you think, what you experience, what you feel, is not what you are. So when you realize what you're not, you will now realize what you are, which is the divine light consciousness, being an extension of it. When you now perceive this, you now become an observer of all these emotions and experiences. Right now you have taken yourself from the 3D, which is really being in that emotion and being in that time period, okay, being in that state of awareness, and taking yourself higher whereby experiencing a 4D consciousness, because you are now the observer in the background experiencing what you, the person, is actually going through. So I not screw, but I just experiencing a vibration of vexation because of the scenario which just transpired. So because that man just do what he do there, or because that you tell me that, I experiencing a little screwness for the time there. But I not screw because I was never screwed to begin with. You getting me, family? So the same way the screw go is the same way the screw coming. Or I should say the other way, the same way the screw come is the same way it going. So you're not screw, you're just experiencing the vexation for that time period. So we need to get on that new wave of understanding and this new wave of consciousness and take ourselves out of it, right? Now, when you change the consciousness of an individual, you change their perception, the inner form, and thereby changing the perception upon reality. So if you change a man how he's thinking, remember in our very first video we touched about the inner form and information. So when you change a man's inner form and his perception, how he sees things, you're changing his perception on reality. So thereby, if a man can see that what he thinks can have an effect in what manifests in his reality, a man should really change his thinking. So this is the new wave. This is the awakening. This is what is happening. And most people who cannot understand this because they are not exposed to this sort of information, because I'm telling you, people can't stand the truth, you know. When you tell them they don't have no God and no Jesus, people can't stand the truth. The first thing they'll be like, but if they don't have no God, no Jesus, like, what? So, yeah. Like, whose slave will I be? I'll have to make a next video on that. Whose slave am I now that they don't have no God? Because some people feel like they need to have a master, like they need to have a... You are the God. The God is divine consciousness. It's the majority of its presence is within the universe, but you are an extension of it, family. Okay? So this is the awakening, and we are growing within this consciousness. All right? And let us come out from the 3D and come within the 4D and even the 5D level of consciousness. And when we change our perception, we change our outlook on reality. All right? And thereby we can have a better world to live in. Because for you to change someone's future, you have to change their perception, change what they know, give them the truth, right? For them to produce righteousness and produce the fruits of true labor. And having said that, family, I hope you guys got the understanding. This is Solar Science Part 2. Part 3, going to seal it up, right? And thank you, and I hope you like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for being part of this Melanated family. The sun is with us. Ra Hotel. Peace, love, and bliss.